Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today.
Hollywood Historical Couples in Crisis.
One of my viewers wanted me to do another installment in the Hollywood Historical Couples in Crisis series. And for this installment in the Hollywood Historical Couples in Crisis series, I'm going to be talking about actors Ben Affleck and his wife Jennifer Lopez. Now, the first person in this Hollywood Historical Couple in Crisis I'm going to be talking about is director, screenwriter, and producer and actor Ben Affleck. Now, Ben Affleck rose to fame in the late 1990s when he and his partner, Matt Damon, wrote the screenplay for the 1997 film Good Will Hunting. And after writing the screenplay for Good Will Hunting and selling it at 22 years old, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon went on to win an Oscar for Best Screenwriting for writing Good Will Hunting, being the two youngest individuals to win an Oscar for screenwriting at 25 years old. And after Ben Affleck won the Oscar for Best Screenplay, he turned this into a career in multiple films and turned it into a career in multiple films in independent films, such as ones made by Kevin Smith, such as Mallrats, and also went on to star in big budget films such as Armageddon, such as Daredevil, and even played the role of Batman in the Justice League movie, and went on to have a storied career in Hollywood and went on to lots of great fame. However, in spite of having all of that great fame, Ben Affleck basically wound up on the road to becoming a man in crisis because he grew up in a home with a beta male father, and that beta male father having issues with alcoholism as related to addiction basically showed him a model for dysfunction in his personal life. And that model for dysfunction as related to his personal life basically led to Ben Affleck learning a foundation for dysfunction as related to his social and personal relationships. Now, Ben Affleck was born Benjamin Giza Affleck Bolt in 1972 in Berkeley, California, and his family moved to Massachusetts when he was 3, living in Falmouth, Massachusetts, with his mother, who was a Harvard-educated elementary school teacher, and a father who had been an actor and a stage manager before winding up becoming an aspiring playwright who was mostly unemployed and drifted through jobs such as carpenter, auto mechanic, bookie, electrician, and janitor at Harvard, drifting through most of these jobs because he basically possibly felt emasculated by being in the presence of his wife, who was a Harvard educated elementary school teacher, and with his wife basically having an Ivy League education, he didn't really feel like the leader and head of that family, and that emasculation basically drove his father to addictions with alcohol, which turned him into an alcoholic. And he basically was winding up drinking every day and feeling very difficult to deal with his sons because he didn't feel like a man, and didn't feel like a man because he didn't feel like he could lead his household, and because he didn't feel like he was the head of his household. What happened with Ben Affleck's father is, as he was dealing with the frustrations of being emasculated, never actualizing his potential as related to his ability to be an actor and have that career that he dreamed of, what happened was he was frustrated and seething with anger and didn't really know how to deal with life, so he turned to a bottle to escape. And as he turned to a bottle to escape, all of the personal problems he had from not being able to live out his dream of being an actor and being a head of household who he could felt like he could be respected. What happened with Ben Affleck's father is that he wound up presenting a model of manhood of dysfunction to his son. And as he presented this model of manhood to his son, what this did was basically mess up his son's ability to have interpersonal relationships that were healthy with women and have healthy interpersonal relationships with people, because the models he saw in front of him basically gave him serious issues as related to depression and anxiety, because seeing his father basically be down and out basically was the first example of manhood that he saw, and that example of manhood basically put him on the road to being a man in crisis, just like his father. And this is why I say having no father is better than having a beta male father, because the beta male father can do even more damage to a son, and do more damage to a son by his example, because his example basically shows the son dysfunction in front of him, and this becomes his model, and that model got progressively worse when Ben Affleck's father was basically divorced from the mother and left the home. And after he left the home, he continued to drink to the point where he became homeless, spending 2 years living on the streets of Cambridge, where I believe Ben Affleck got the inspiration for the story Good Will Hunting, as related to working with Matt Damon later on in his life. Now, when Ben Affleck was 16, this is where his father wound up going into rehabilitation, lived at the facility for 12 years to maintain his sobriety, and worked as an addiction counselor. But the damage was basically done to Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck, instead of him learning how to develop proper male life skills and male survival skills, basically didn't learn how to have focus or direction, and didn't really have much of a focus or direction as related to his life. Now, his mother basically was trying to help him out by getting him things like, she was saving money to help him go to college and become a teacher. But Ben Affleck wanted to be an actor like his father, and eventually he wound up filming different shows. Like, he filmed a children's television program in Mexico, and spent a year traveling around the country with his mother and his brother, and that basically put the son on the road to being like his father, basically drifting through life. And basically drifting through life as he had friendship with Matt Damon, who he knew since he was 8 years old. But really, he again was basically drifting through life because this was the model shown to him by his father and encouraged by his mother. And basically, as this was encouraged by his mother, she took him on different acting jobs, and he acted in different things like student films, and eventually got bit parts in movies. Like, he played the son in Patrick Duffy's TV film Daddy, got an uncredited appearance in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and played the role of a prep student in School Ties, and also played in, again, many different little films, and also starred as a bully in the film Dazed and Confused, again, basically drifting through roles until he started to go out here and play a role that was just like his in Glory Days as an aimless student, and then went on to star in Kevin Smith films like Mallrats and Chasing Amy, and other films like Going All the Way. And then he finally got his breakthrough after drifting through Hollywood in small roles, and when and Matt Damon managed to get the script for Good Will Hunting sold. And they worked on the script Good Will Hunting back in 1992 when Matt Damon wrote a 40-page script for a playwriting class at Harvard University and asked Ben Affleck to act out the scenes. And after asking him to act out the scenes, they collaborated to put this script together and eventually sold this script in 1994 when Ben Affleck was 22 years old. And eventually this film got made with starring Robin Williams, and basically became one of the best films of 1997, winning an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay and turning into a box office hit. And this basically was the thing that catapulted Ben Affleck into stardom, and eventually he started starring in big budget films like Armageddon, which was his first leading man role, and then also starred in Shakespeare in Love, which was a questionable film for Best Picture, but these acclaimed films basically catapulted Ben Affleck into stardom, and as he was catapulted into stardom, he then went back to work with Kevin Smith on Dogma, and also continued to work on different films like Reindeer Games and the box office bomb Pearl Harbor, but he was considered to be a solid box office draw, playing different roles, again, like the one in Daredevil. But as he continued to go on with his career, as related to his professional life, he was doing well, but his personal life basically was not in a good place, and his personal life started to go and wind up in a bad place because he was still dealing with issues as related to depression and anxiety, as related to his dysfunctional relationship that was modeled for him by his father. And due to the dysfunctional relationship modeled for him by his father, his personal relationships did not really do very well, and that was basically shown with the relationship that he had with Jennifer Lopez, where he started dating her from 2002 to 2004. Now, Ben Affleck met Jennifer Lopez on the set of the film Gigli, and they had talked to each other at other industry parties and eventually began getting involved in a relationship in 2002 after Jennifer Lopez filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd. Now, Ben Affleck really, again, didn't have a good model for relationships with women due to his father being emasculated by his mother, and as a result of that, he didn't know how to be able to vet women or read women for relationships, and that's how he got involved with a toxic woman like Jennifer Lopez, who had already been divorced twice already, and already been in a relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs. Basically, Jennifer Lopez was one of these hypergamous women who was looking to monkey branch to man, and as she monkey branched from man to man, what she did was to get the spirits and DNA of other men inside of her, and that caused her to be able to have this issue inside of her because she could not pair bond because she had already been married twice to Chris Judd and another man in 1997, and she was also involved with Sean P. Diddy Combs, so she already at the minimum had 3 sets of spirits and DNA inside of her tearing at her soul, and was not able to connect and bond with Ben Affleck in a relationship, but he thought he could have a healthy relationship with this woman, I believe because she basically was the same kind of woman that was like his mother, because with Jennifer Lopez, she came from a toxic home with a very domineering mother, and she basically learned a model of dominating a man in a relationship, and basically this basically reminded Ben Affleck of the relationship his mother had with his father, and that's possibly why he was attracted to Jennifer Lopez, because this was the type of woman he thought he could have a relationship with, but the whole problem with their relationship was that Jenny from the block was very toxic as related to a relationship because she was someone who was not really fit to bond with him because she is already bonded to other men, and again she had souls tearing at hers, and as those souls tore at hers, she could not connect and bond with Ben Affleck in a relationship, and Ben could not really bond with her because he really had a lot of issues as related to leadership. No, he really was not one who was in charge of himself or able to set direction for himself. And as he was not able to set direction for himself, he then was trying to have this relationship with Jennifer Lopez, but things just didn't work out. Now, as Ben Affleck was out here, and he was, before he got involved with Jennifer Lopez, he got involved with Gwyneth Paltrow, who basically things didn't work out, and she didn't really see him as anybody she thought would be anything, and things just didn't work out because she saw him as a friend, and again put in the friend zone because she possibly saw the beta male behavior that he had, in addition to his anxiety issues and depression. Now, after Ben Affleck got involved with Jennifer Lopez, he married Jennifer Garner in 2005 and was married to her from 2005 to 2018. Now, they began dating after they possibly met on the set of Daredevil. And after they met on the set of Daredevil, Jennifer Garner tried to build a family with Ben Affleck. And basically, this whole family wound up falling apart for the same reasons that Ben Affleck's father's relationship wound up falling apart with his mother. Because even though Ben Affleck had great success as an actor, he wasn't able to one, lead his family or meet the emotional needs of his wife. And it was those issues that basically led to the entire relationship falling apart between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. Now, there have been allegations that there was an affair that Ben Affleck had that basically was the final straw for things between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. But Jennifer Garner was trying to work with Ben Affleck in this relationship and trying to work with him and trying to see if he would be the leader of that relationship. Unfortunately, Ben Affleck was not in a place where he felt like he could lead as related to things because he was still dealing with issues of anxiety and depression and had been taking antidepressants since he was 26 and was also an alcoholic and was dealing with all of these issues, and that all basically led to him winding up on a road where his family fell apart, and he regrets that his marriage fell apart because his head wasn't in the right place. But his head wasn't in the right place because in his family there was an issue with addiction as related to people in his family. Two of his grandparents were alcoholics. His paternal grandmother was addicted to drugs and died by suicide at 46. He had an uncle who was an addict who killed himself due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His aunt was a heroin addict, and he went to Al-Anon meetings to support his father, and even his brother is a recovering alcoholic. And again, Ben Affleck was dealing with a lot of issues due to the dysfunctional home he was raised in. Due to the dysfunctional home he was raised in with a dysfunctional father, this is what put Ben Affleck on the road to being a man in crisis who was having issues as related to maintaining relationships, and a man in crisis because he was dealing with addiction issues from unresolved issues that his parents had. And again, what drives people to things like alcohol to escape is because they are dealing with unresolved issues in their life they haven't worked out. And that seems to be something that happened with Ben Affleck and his family. They were dealing with issues, and those issues compounded as those family members saw alcoholism and addiction modeled for them, and they used it as a coping mechanism to escape their problems. This is what basically put Ben Affleck on the road to becoming a man in crisis before he ever got involved with Jennifer Lopez a second time. Now, I believe Ben Affleck got involved with Jennifer Lopez a second time basically because he was looking for somebody to lean on after the divorce from Jennifer Garner, and with him feeling alone as related to that relationship failing, he was looking for somebody to lean on. But sadly, he wound up leaning on somebody in another codependent paradigm where he was looking for comfort and security. But that comfort and security basically put him on a road to chaos because that relationship with Jennifer Lopez right now is deteriorating for the exact same reasons it fell apart before. It fell apart before because Ben Affleck basically was looking for this woman, Jennifer Lopez, to be his rock, but this woman, it was very unstable as related to her own situation due to the numerous issues she has as a woman in crisis herself. Now, the second person I'm going to be talking about in this Hollywood historical couple in crisis video is actress and entertainer Jennifer Lopez. Now, Jennifer Lopez was the girlfriend of Ben Affleck from 2002 to 2004 and wound up marrying Ben Affleck after a series of relationships that wound up breaking up in either a breakup or a divorce in 2022. Now, Jennifer Lopez basically wound up on the road to becoming a woman in crisis because she was raised by a feminist indoctrinated mother, and that feminist indoctrinated mother basically wanted her daughters to be strong and independent and not need a man like she thought that she did when she was younger. Now, Jennifer Lopez was born in 1969 in the Bronx to David Lopez and Guadalupe Rodriguez in Puerto Rico, and was born in New York City to David Lopez, who basically was a computer technician at Guardian Insurance Company, who was hoping to have a functional home with his wife, who was a homemaker for the first 10 years of Jennifer Lopez's life, then went on to work as a Tupperware salesperson, then a kindergarten and gym teacher, before eventually winding up divorcing Jennifer Lopez's father after 33 years of marriage. Now, from what I read, the entire relationship between Jennifer Lopez's mother and Jennifer Lopez's father possibly was strained because she was one of these feminist indoctrinated women who wanted to be independent and make her own money. And as she was out here looking to work and make her own money, she was looking to wind up not looking to need Jennifer Lopez's father. And it was that whole feminist mindset that created a lot of toxicity in the home of Jennifer Lopez for herself and her two sisters. Basically created a lot of toxicity because this model of this very domineering and abusive woman was the model that Jennifer Lopez learned growing up for being a woman. But that whole model basically put her on the road to becoming a woman in crisis, in spite of her mother's efforts to again give her a Catholic education at the all-girls Preston High School. Now, Jennifer Lopez, as she was younger, was participating in gymnastics and was on the softball team and very athletic, and also did participate in lots of performances in different projects, and was inspired by the film West Side Story to want to become an entertainer at an early age, and learned how to dance at the Boys and Girls Club, and taught dance to younger students, including actress Kerry Washington. Now, after she graduated from high school, she had become a secretary and worked at a law firm and studied business at Baruch College, but the entertainment bug wound up catching her, and she wound up continuing to study different forms of dance, and that really put some issues between her and her mother and escalated her abuse because she said her mother wanted her to have a regular career, saying that there were no Latinas who participated in having a dance career. Obviously, Jennifer Lopez's mother never really heard of Rita Moreno or Chita Rivera, two prominent Latinas who had careers in dance and theater. And this basically made her parents angry because they wanted her to go to college, and because they wanted her to go to college, and she didn't want to go to college but wanted to pursue a career as an entertainer. There was a falling out between Jennifer Lopez and her mother, ironically because Jennifer Lopez's mother wanted her to be an independent woman who would work for herself, but when she took those first steps of independence, that's when Jennifer Lopez's feminist mother got upset, and got upset because she wouldn't follow in her footsteps and be the career woman that she wanted to be. That's what really, I believe, upset Jennifer Lopez's mother, because she basically saw that she basically was, as a woman in crisis herself and a feminist herself, she saw that her daughter wouldn't submit to follow the dreams that she basically wanted to project onto her. And this is what led to Jennifer Lopez moving out of her family home, not speaking to her family for 8 months, and sleeping in the office of the dance studio for the first few months as she was looking to start building her dance career. Now, as Jennifer Lopez was out here on her own, she toured Europe with a musical review of the golden musicals of Broadway, and then was upset she was the only member not to have a solo, but that was just the way things were. She danced for MC Hammer and Yo MTV Raps. She was a dancer for New Kids on the Block, and also went on to do regional musicals. She went on to further go on to do other music videos such as EPMD's Rampage, Samantha Fox's Hurt Me But the Pants Stay On, and danced in numerous rap videos and and different and things like that for $50 and make the money try to last the whole month, because as a struggling performer, these jobs just basically come and go for an unknown person. This is what happens in the entertainment industry as somebody's trying to come up. And again, Jennifer Lopez went through those rough struggles of living on people's sofas and eating top ramen and trying to make a $50 stretch by eating things like, again, top ramen and candy and going and mooching off people. That's how she basically scavenged through life as she went to Hollywood and eventually wound up getting a job with the TV series In Living Color as one of the Fly Girls, and that was basically the start of her breakthrough as related to entertainment. And as she worked with Rosie Perez, the choreographer, and took this job on In Living Color, this is what basically started people to notice her. Now, they originally planned to make the Fly Girls into a singing group similar to the Spice Girls, but the whole thing is that whole deal fell apart. But Jennifer Lopez then, as she was doing Fly Girl, she was also working as a backup dancer for Janet Jackson, but was scheduled to tour with her, but decided to go for an acting career and hired In Living Color producer Eric Gold as her manager, who advised her to lose weight if she wanted to succeed as an actress. And that's how we went from, big butt and somewhat fine J-Lo to the J-Lo we have today. And she managed to start getting small recurring roles on the canceled series South Central, where she played the cashier. And I remember seeing her play the cashier on South Central in that show for the cooperative market, and then went out here and finally got an agent and started getting regular work in shows like CBS's Second Chances that got canceled, then got cast in the spinoff called Hotel Malibu, then got in a television film called Lost in the Wild, and then eventually went on to star in the film Mi Familia, where she got noticed and got an Independent Spirit Award, and then made an appearance in the film Money Train. Now, the film was a flop, but she did get noticed, and that led to her starting to get noticed for other films such as Francis Ford Coppola's Jack, and then wound up starring opposite Jack and Nicholson in Blood and Wine, where people started to notice her, and eventually she wound up getting her breakthrough role in the film Selena, where she got her first big payday of $1 million after years of struggling. And after years of struggling, she managed to go on to continue to start building her career in many memorable films such as Anaconda, which she starred with Ice Cube, and U-Turn, and the film with George Clooney with Out of Sight. And eventually, then she's got with the creator of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Benny Medina, and had him as her new manager. And this really started her to focus on developing her image as a Latina performer after her record on The Six, which was about the 6 train, which connected her home to the Bronx to Manhattan. And that was basically the start of her career starting to take off. And as her career started to take off, this is where Jennifer Lopez's issues as a woman in crisis started to do damage to her life. And it started to do damage to her life because she didn't have that foundation as related to having a healthy relationship with a man or seeing a model for a relationship with a man. Now, Jennifer Lopez had dated different guys. She dated a guy, David Cruz, who was her high school boyfriend until the mid-90s, and they were engaged at one point. And Cruz relocated to Los Angeles to be with her as she was looking to pursue her career. And then what happened was Jennifer Lopez got bit by the hypergamy bug, looking to elevate her social status by getting with higher status men. And that's where she decided to leave her high school boyfriend and start monkey branching over to other men, starting a paradigm of failure for relationships, because that's where she monkey branched from her boyfriend, David Cruz, to marry a Cuban waiter, Ojai Noah, from 1997 to 1998, and again, possibly monkey branched to that man, because he possibly was a higher status man as related to their relationship. And this whole paradigm of failure basically started with her as related to things, and again started with her looking to monkey branch from one man to the other, looking to get with high status men, but not really having any sort of intangibles of a relationship based on values and character, and that's what really started to do serious damage as related to Jennifer Lopez, because she was looking for a man to lead and not she was looking for a man that she could lead and not one that would be she could follow behind, and she wasn't looking to submit to a man because she was looking to be the independent woman. And because she was looking to be the independent woman, she was looking for a man to be up under her. And that whole situation basically was the continuing of her paradigm of failure for relationships. Now, she had already been with two men, and again, that really had issues as related to her spirit, because when she went out here and had relations with those men, she had the spirits and DNA of those men inside of her, and that really made it where it was impossible for her to pair bond with future partners, because she had already had a high school boyfriend, she had a husband, and left that husband to monkey branch over to rapper and producer Sean P. Diddy, or as he was called then, Puff Daddy Combs, who she was involved with from 1999 to 2001, and they were caught up in a situation where Lopez and Combs, back in 1999, towards the end of Christmas, were caught up in a weapons charge after a shooting at a Times Square nightclub. Now, charges were dropped against Jennifer Lopez in an hour, and all the charges were basically acquitted for Sean P. Diddy Combs, and they broke up after that. And after Jennifer Lopez broke up with Sean P. Diddy Combs, she then got involved with Chris Judd, a backup dancer who she married from 2001 to 2003. Now, after she got involved with Chris Judd, her hypergamy kicked in once more, and she looked to monkey branch over to another high-status man, Academy Award-winning actor Ben Affleck, who she was involved with from 2002 to 2004, and she was in this relationship with this guy even before her divorce with Chris Judd was finalized, basically monkey branching from man to man, looking for a male that she could basically be the independent woman with. Unfortunately, all of the men that she got involved with basically were looking for her to submit. But in the case of Ben Affleck, because he was a beta male, he was looking for a woman to lean on and looking for a woman that he could basically have as a mommy type figure, similar to his mommy. That's what I believe led to them coming together. Unfortunately, as J-Lo and Ben Affleck were coming together, what happened was their relationship basically was panned by those in the mainstream media, and after they wound up starring in the box office failure Geely, what happened was Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez had to deal with such bad press, and that bad press basically led to the breakup of their relationship. Now, they had planned to get married, but they wound up ending their engagement in 2004 because of the media scrutiny as related to their relationship, and because they had both starred in box office failures, they couldn't come together to have the codependent relationship that Ben Affleck wanted to have with Jennifer Lopez. Now, after the relationship with Ben Affleck ended, Jennifer Lopez monkey branched over to the next high status man, Mark Anthony, and they had worked together and dated for a few months in the 1990s, but then decided to get together and get married. And Jennifer Lopez then gave birth to two fraternal twins to Mark Anthony, and after going out and having these twins, this is where the Jennifer Lopez then started having a relationship with another backup dancer, and as related to that relationship later on, and again wound up having this whole thing because eventually they wound up separating and eventually divorcing, with J-Lo keeping custody of the children. But it just shows how Jennifer Lopez's paradigm for relationships wound up primarily failing due to the dysfunctional model she saw from her mother, who wanted to be the boss in the relationship. And that relationship wound up ending in the 1990s after J-Lo's mom got her financial independence and she was able to break away, I believe, from her father. This is me speculating that once she got her jobs and her money, she looked to break away from J-Lo's father And this has led to J-Lo learning a model for dysfunction as related to relationships. And this is why her relationships failed, because she saw her mother focused on the material and not really focused on the spiritual. But what was happening with J-Lo was, as she was getting involved with each of these men, she was basically bonding with each of these men. And again, each of these men were basically tearing at her soul, and tearing at her soul because when a man and a woman come together, they become one flesh and one spirit under God. Unfortunately, when you have multiple men, you have multiple spirits and DNA bonding to you, and that makes it where that woman isn't able to pair bond with a man, and makes it where their relationships really don't function the way they're supposed to. And Jennifer Lopez continued to have different relationships. She had a relationship with a backup dancer, Casper Smart, dated New York Yankees baseball player Alex Rodriguez from 2017 to 2021, eventually became engaged, but because of the pandemic, they wound up breaking up. And after they wound up breaking up, this is where Jennifer Lopez wound up extremely desperate. And as she wound up becoming extremely desperate to make a relationship work, what happened was she wound up getting back involved with Ben Affleck, who had just divorced his wife, Jennifer Garner. And as they came together, this is where they formed the codependent relationship they originally would have formed back in 2002 to 2004 that would have destroyed both of their careers. But with Jennifer Lopez being in her 50s and basically being done as related to relationships, as related to the social marketplace, she decided to get involved with Ben Affleck. And as this woman in crisis got involved with this man in crisis, Ben Affleck wound up becoming the final simp, and he became the final simp as related to her relationships, and is the one who's basically suffering at this point as related to things, because their relationship is deteriorating right now. And deteriorating right now because what is happening right here with Ben Affleck and his marriage to Jennifer Lopez is the relationship is falling apart, because Ben Affleck, again, was looking for a codependent woman to be like a mother to him and somebody he could submit to and get leadership and guidance from, the same way his father got from his mother. And Jennifer Lopez was looking for a man that she could dominate and control, who had lots of resources. And this codependent relationship has become extremely toxic these days, and people are rumored to say this relationship is breaking up. But the whole thing is that both of them were attracted to each other due to the dysfunctional way they were raised as children. And it proves the point that a man in crisis will attract a woman in crisis to him, and they will both come together for an extremely dysfunctional relationship. And that's what happened with Jennifer Lopez to put her on the road to becoming a woman in crisis. Her feminist indoctrinated mother taught her feminism, and that feminism, while it got her a successful career, it didn't really get her success as related to relationships. And instead of her being able to come together for a healthy relationship with a man, what she is becoming a woman in crisis who is hurtling down the road to bust downtown, and about to head on that road to bust downtown, because she's basically at 54 years old, basically a woman who just could not make a relationship work with a man, and couldn't make a relationship work with a man through the dysfunctional way she learned how to have relationships, modeled for her by her mother and her father. And again, modeled for her primarily by her mother, because her father basically was a good guy, but the mother didn't want to work with him and submit to his authority. And that was the model basically shown to Jennifer Lopez, that she followed to the letter. And as she followed this model to the letter, it basically made it where she didn't learn how to submit to the leadership of a man, work to be the helpmeet of a man, or learn how to spiritually pair bond with a man like her first boyfriend. No, she wanted to go out here and get with a high status man, but sadly, as she's gotten ran through by the high status men, those men basically have shown that they have no interest in her, after having their fun, and again can't make a relationship work with her because she wants to be the leader in the relationship and wants to be the boss over everything, just like her mother. And ironically, just like her mother, this independent woman who is strong and independent basically went on the road from being a successful woman and dancer to becoming a woman in crisis. Now, if you want to learn what leads to both men and women winding up on a dysfunctional road where they don't have satisfying relationships, you can pick up my books, The Man Crisis and The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis and The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about the Hollywood historical couples in crisis, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the PayPal or the Cash App. And if I know something about that couple, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this installment of the Hollywood Historical Couples in Crisis series. You can rate, comment, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, all about Nikki, a fabulous first season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, the fabulous first season, in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.